This morning we are reading out of the book of Acts, chapter 17, verses 1 through 9. And this picks up the story of the Apostle Paul's second missionary journey. He had several. And this time around, he has been traveling throughout a region called Macedonia, a region which has kind of come back into play in our time, not too far from Greece and southern Turkey in that area. And he had spent some time in Philippi and gotten in trouble there. We'll mention that again in a minute. But he and Silas and Timothy went to the town of Thessalonica and on this journey, and that's where we pick up the story today. There's one particular sentence that we'll focus on in our message today that just really stood out to me. Verses 1 through 9. When they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a Jewish synagogue. As his custom was, Paul went into the synagogue, and on 3 Sabbath days he reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and proving the Christ had to suffer and rise from the dead. This Jesus I am proclaiming to you is the Christ, he said. Now, some of the Jews were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a large number of God-fearing Greeks and not a few prominent women. But the Jews were jealous, and so they rounded up some bad characters from the marketplace, formed a mob, and started a riot in the city. They rushed to Jason's house in search of Paul and Silas in order to bring them out to the crowd. But when they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some other brothers before the city officials, shouting, "These men who have caused trouble all over the world have now come here. And Jason has welcomed them into his house. They are all defying Caesar's decrees, saying that there is another king, one called Jesus." And when they heard this, the crowd and the city officials were thrown into turmoil. And then they made Jason and the others post bond and let them go. Well, this is the word of the Lord for all God's people. Thanks be to God.